So, I apologize. I said this video would be out by now, and this is your sign. You can be late doing some of the tasks you set out, but never put them off forever. So one thing I want to talk about today in business, and if you're new to this channel, because it is a new channel, we've got Jase Consultancy online. This isn't a mentorship channel, this is just me consulting, sharing thoughts from someone that's been in an industry for a long time, giving back some free value. And if someone wanted further help, there's a link in the bio, but it's not a mentorship, it's a consultancy link just to have a chat and go through some things. But I want to speak about something today, and that's churn rate, one of the biggest things that people neglect when it comes to their business. So churn rate. And the goal of this channel is to break things down in the most simplified terms so everyone can understand what I'm saying. So churn rate, let's simplify that once more. Let's call it drop-off rate. So why is this important? We're in a day and age in the online coaching space where everyone cares about one thing, and that one thing is new leads. All right? So when we look at business and everyone talking about lead gen, every single ad that I see on Instagram is lead gen, earn new money, get new income, nah. But if you're a business owner, and the best way to increase your business's revenue is actually by fixing your churn rate. Because what tends to happen here is everyone focuses on lead gen. And when they don't focus on churn rate, you can get as much leads as you want. But if clients, so we're basically filling up a water bottle with a hole in it. We're getting a lot of new leads into the system, and guess what? The old clients are dropping off because the churn rate is poor and we're not sure how to retain clients in the system. And how to check your churn rate is simply by looking through your statistics, looking at your drop-off rate, making a sheet. But another big thing you need to understand is the LTV of a client. And that's basically the lifetime value of a client. And what that is how long a client stays with you when they enter your coaching container. So working that out is actually very good, because then you will know every time you get a lead that signs up, on average, how long will they stay in your system. And that might be 12 weeks. For some people, let's say 12 weeks. So if you've got a client coming into the system and every 12 weeks they're dropping off, obviously you're going to have to keep chasing lead gen. And chasing an abundance of leads to, one, replace that client, and two, take your client roster into a surplus. However, you won't have to chase as much lead gen if you are getting some leads in, but you are also retaining clients longer than 12 weeks. So let's break it down. How can we turn 12 weeks into 24 weeks? Let's look at that. So someone will enter your coaching container for a fat loss phase. Alright, so we've entered a 12-week fat loss phase. Typically some coaches, come into my system, fat loss phase, they get them ready for the diet, sweet, off you go on your bike. So then they leave the system. But to increase that lifetime value of a client, which to increase the length of time someone stays in your system and improve that drop-off rate, we will now take this client from 12 weeks to 24 weeks. And the way to do this is via education as a coach. So the first thing we go through is we take them through the fat loss phase, 12-week fat loss. And then guess what we do? We layer at around 6 to 8 weeks out. So 6 to 8 weeks out, in this journey, we start to educate on reverse diets. And the reason why we start to educate and layer that from 6 to 8 weeks out and put it out every week or every other week is because subconsciously, from a psychological standpoint, they already start to think about the next step, reverse diets. Whereas when clients are dropping off after 12 weeks, it's a lack of education because the coach isn't speaking about the next step. People always leave when there's not a next step. When people buy into a next step or a timeline, they buy into the process, and that's what you need to understand. And if you're unsure, write this down. Very simply. So we've now got a client, 12-week diet, this one's now 24-week diet, improved retention in the system, 12-week fat loss phase, 6 to 8 weeks, educate and reverse diet, and then what happens there? At the end of the diet, let's say they're timelined into reverse and they understand the power of it. Sweet. So they understand the diet and then they understand the power of it, so they pivot into a reverse diet. And guess what? Some clients might go from 24 weeks to 36 weeks or vice versa, because someone might reverse diet and say, hey man, I want to see the work that I've put in from that reverse diet. So understand retention and lifetime value. Well, lifetime value comes from fucking education as a coach and explaining the process, not just having someone come in for a minute, do a fat loss phase and leave the system. You have to understand, as a coach, it's your choice to educate and make someone understand the process. In my personal opinion, I think when someone comes into a coaching system, for most coaches, minimum, they should be with you 6 to 9 months. And some exceptions. We've had some people in our coaching system for 5 years. So that is one of the best ways to focus on the lifetime value of a client. And that's also going to decrease churn rate. So that's decreased churn rate. And what typically comes off this method here, because that client's been with you for a long time, because they've got you on social media, because they're constantly tagging you for X amount of months, their followers start to see that process. And that starts to lead to organic marketing. And that starts to lead to referrals. As long as someone's in your system, it will create curiosity upon their followers. Fuck, you stuck at this for a long time. So one of the biggest things here that I see is the churn rate and the drop-off rate is a big issue. Start to fix this by start focusing on your lifetime value of clients and how you educate and timeline the process to keep a client in your coaching container. And when they come into your container, what are they going to learn along the way? Because people always pay for education. And then when you focus on that, you will still, yes, work on lead gen, but you won't solely rely on lead gen or focus heavily on lead gen. Because again, naturally, the longer the client's in your system, they're going to get a result, you're going to post that result, on the back of the result, there's going to be some traction as well. So lead gen's great, but also focus on the biggest thing, which is the churn rate. And if you Google this, big businesses, they always focus on the churn rate because we don't want to be in a position where we're constantly just chasing our tail. I need new leads this month, need new leads this month. Sometimes the mindset needs to be, I've held the current client base that I've currently got. But no, lead generation is still a big thing in the fitness industry and it's still something to focus on. But focus on this and focus on this and your brand will grow much, much quicker. And when I ask people, I say, what's your lifetime value of a client? They look at me and they don't know. So start to learn your numbers. You can only scale things you can see. You need data to be able to scale. When I ask someone, what's your churn rate? How many clients you drop off per month? They don't know. So what I want you to do is go away, make an Excel spreadsheet with your churn rate. Every time a client leaves your system, write the name down. Every time a client comes into your system, write the name down. When a client leaves the system, write how long they've been in your system. When the client leaves your system, write what phase they've been in. And you might see 10 people just on a 12-week diet. So that comes down to you as a coach that you've done a poor job of educating them the next step. And the longer someone's in your system, when they do leave, they're most likely to return over time. So let's start on fixing the churn rate, the drop-off rate. Let's look at how else we can improve the drop-off rate. So the drop-off rate can be improved by community value. And this is something that I want to talk about today. And what do you mean by the community value? Building a community value, a coaching team. So I always advise coaches to have team days, to have big days where they get a lot of clients down and they connect. Because I always say to people, Weight Watchers isn't the best program in the world, but they've got a fucking cult. And the reason they got a cult is because when you go on Facebook, they've got a huge community. And sometimes people want to feel like they're a part of something. And sometimes people feeling like they're a part of something leads to a factor where they want to stay within a community, they want to stay within a group. A lot of people in Weight Watchers are still out of shape, but still in the community. Do you know what I mean? So when we look at community value, I always believe in having things such as team days. builds a squad. And what this leads to is camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood. What this allows is clients to mingle, clients to become friends, you know, and we realize that a lot of our clients within our system start to mingle with each other, build better relationships, you know, and that naturally is going to help build your brand because they're going to speak about your brand, you know. And I always say this to people, if you had 2 gym memberships, right, and you had a pure gym membership which is independent, you don't know anyone fucking in there, or you had a independent gym, a hybrid gym or a bodybuilding gym, but it had a real fucking community and you had to cancel one, what one are you going to cancel? You're going to cancel the one with no community, the one that makes you feel a bit alone, the one that, you know, you just feel like you're another customer coming into the business. But when you have a community, you feel valued, you feel a part of a squad. So I always say if you had to choose one gym membership, it's going to be the pure gym one. So use that sort of analogy and look at it with your business. If someone's within your coaching brand, it's going to be much harder. It's easy to leave coaching brands. It's easy to leave coaching brands. It's hard to leave fucking communities because you leave more than the coach behind. You leave more than the results behind. You leave some friendships behind. So I always say focus on that community value. So you're going to have a team day. Team days are good. Why? Organic traction. Organic traction. Because when you have a team day, it gets a lot of photos, etc. People mingling with each other, content, etc., etc. And again, as a coach, you then get photos with your clients that you can post. And when you get photos with your clients that you can post, guess what that leads to? You looking like the authority, you looking like the man, you looking like the deed of trust. So again, it's not just turn up, There's methodology behind everything. But when you are looking like the authority, when you do tag that client and they repost it, guess what their followers see and you look even more of an authority. And guess what that leads to referral, that leads to organic marketing. You don't have to focus on paid ads. You don't have to worry too much on lead gen because before you know it, energy pulls energy. The leads and inquiries are going to come to you. So again, community value, team day, squad, camaraderie, feeling a part of something. So the camera actually cut off. It's going to lead to people feeling a part of something. And you know what? These community days, some people will really fucking look forward to them. Like some people, you know, they work 9 to 5, they're a dad at home, and like some people who play football, they really look forward to that football tournament on the weekend. It's the same with this, man. Build something, really focus on build something. The biggest brands in the world have great communities. I look at everything from an outside fitness brand, that's where I get a lot of my education from. I look at some of the fashion brands, Cortez, Clint, 419, great community when it comes to his clothing brand. We look at Represent George Heaton, 247, great community. Community culture carries the brand. So community culture is king. Write this one down. So if I wanted to go away today and focus on my churn rate, increasing the amount of clients, reducing the amount of clients that drop off month to month, and I wanted to stop focusing solely on lead gen and let things come in organically, I would start to look at the lifetime value of a client, how I can use education to improve that. I would start to look at community value of how I could keep people within the system because I understand community culture is king, and how I would layer education to allow people to understand the next step and timeline and have something to look forward to. So that is video number 1.